Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to G.I. Joe Mission Critical Part 2. This is where we're going to go through all the different components. So, if you jump right to this video, I'm going to go over the boards, show off the miniatures, and all the decks of cards. If you're jumping into this and you're like, what the heck is this game? Go back, check out Part 1, where I go over the rule books and explain the basic concepts of the game. Let's hop right into this. So, first off, we're going to have Big Red Board, which is our deployment board. This is where the villain cards will all go. So your troopers, your foot soldiers go on the bottom. Your bigger guys will go up on the top. This is really cool that they included this because it's something that wasn't initially part of the original Power Ranger one. Like, it was easy enough just to play them down. Is this necessary? Definitely not. But it's kind of nice to have. Like, hey, I can put this on the board, and then we know exactly what cards it'll wear and all that fun stuff. Then our second board we're going to get is our experience and energy board and vehicle board. So you're going to put your vehicle cards there, the ones you deploy. Experience tracker here for your different Cobras, how you beat them. And then a little pile for your energy. So the Power Ranger one did include a board like this, so this is kind of neat. They've got one of these too. So these two big giant boards you're going to have. Now, being with this and then all the locations, everything's going to take up a lot of room on your table. So just a heads up, this isn't like a small little tiny game. Then we have all of our locations. So we're going to get our boards here. So we're going to have New York City, which has a panic zone of 5, so you can have up to 5 miniatures in there, or foot soldiers before it becomes panicked. Then we also have the Space Station Delta. And then also on this board we'll have one of our free vehicle tokens. Now if we flip this over, we're going to have the special abilities. So the Space Station Delta says, at the start of each battle of this location, gain 1 energy. So this is a nice positive effect you can do, so if the game's becoming a little bit harder, you can just flip this over and gain 1 extra energy every turn, which should just help you pay for your abilities a little bit easier. And then New York, we have the first time a vehicle is used during each battle in this location, replace with the top card of the vehicle deck. It just basically lets you buy something and get a different one for free. It's kind of weird. But yeah, you automatically get a different card right away, so it's kind of neat. You could buy a 2-cost card, and you might end up getting a 3-cost or a 4-cost. It gives you a little bit more randomness, which I'm not even opposed to having randoms. I do like that the opposite side of this token has nothing, and that one has +1. So when you use it, you can just flip it over to show that you've used it, versus having to, like, discard it or move it somewhere else. Alright, so this board we're going to get all of our different tokens. We have our 4 panic tokens. We have our 4 location tokens. So these will be the ones you put on the actual location boards to keep track of which ones are. So the space station is now the tank, or the New York City is now the research lab. All your hit tokens to show your damage. Leader token up at the top. We have Cobra Temple here. It says 5. And then we have all our active tokens, which have yellow arrows. So now, what is kind of neat, just as again, I don't want to constantly do comparisons to the Power Ranger game, because like I said in the first video, I'll do a separate one comparing them. But what is nice that they did is all of the hit tokens and the panic tokens and the active tokens, they'll stay the same. They didn't bother to change it. So I like that the fact they're going to continue this system if they keep all those things the same are really nice. So on this side, just showing that these are no longer energized. In the Cobra Temple, we get to have a hero at this location performs a recovery action. They only recover cards with a total of 4 shields instead of 6. So this could definitely make the game a little bit harder. So like where the other 2, you could always throw them in there to maybe ease the game, make it a little bit easier. You could flip this thing over to make it harder, or you could play with all 4 flipped over and have a variety. Then we have energy tokens. Now these are different than the Power Rangers because they went from the crystal symbols to that, but I think they're the same shape. I don't remember. Another free vehicle. Our tokens for our foot soldiers so we can keep track of which ones are which. Our command center, which in this one is the pit. And then we have the jungle laboratory, which is 6. So you have 2 5s and 2 6s, which is pretty typical. They usually have 2 of one, 2 of the other. And I popped that one right out. So on the back of the pit, we'll have a red circle if you want to play the harder mode of that. I'm just going to kind of pop that back in there. Or I'll just not pop that back in there. We have the jungle laboratory. During each of the battle at this location, vehicles have a cost of +1. So again, that'll make that a little bit harder because you won't be able to play vehicles as easy. Alright, so those are our main boards for the game. We're also going to get a bunch of little plastic baggies. You get 4 of them for your various tokens and stuff like that. We have our first tray here, which has all of our Cobras. And then the second tray, which has all of the cards and everything else. The cards and the, more notable characters. Alright, so I'm going to slide these out of the way. If I can. One sec. Alright, so here we have the dice. These dice are a little bit chunkier than regular, D6s or 6-sided dice. But we have the 3 different symbols. You can see the 0, or the circle is a miss. The 1 star is a 1 hit, and the 2 stars are 2 hits. So, basically, if you're rolling 6 dice, the worst result you could get would be 6 misses, which would be terrible. The best result you could get would be 12 hits, which would be phenomenal. Most attacks probably do somewhere between, I'd say, 2 to 4 dice are pretty typical. But there's a lot of stuff that lets you reroll dice or do stuff like that. Now, there are other add-ons that get you other different colored dice. These are just the green ones. So I'll go over that in one of the other videos where I'm going to do the expansions and the add-on stuff. But yeah, these will definitely work for you. Just pass them around. Alright, now let's start taking a look at our characters. So this is the back of one of the character cards. These are tarot-sized sleeves. So in case you want to sleeve your cards, fairly common to find. I don't know the exact measurements on, but we're going to start with this. So each character is going to get their own base card, which gives them a special ability, and the set symbol down here at the bottom. So this is Duke, real name, Conrad S. Hauser. He's the first sergeant ability. I don't think anyone, even through all the Power Anchor stuff, has ever had a duplicate, named ability. But it's just kind of it's what it is. So it's not like you have to worry about that repeating itself. So it's once per battle, a hero of your choice, learn how to read, may reroll any number of dice during an attack. So once the battle begins, at some point, basically the leader character is going to let them just... Now, again, I don't want to always keep going back to Power Rangers, but this is one of the things where some of these abilities and skills and cards are going to overlap, especially this being the core set, because I want to make sure you have, the base abilities down, so some of these might match some of the base abilities in the original set. So, lots of the leader characters have this. This type of ability, some of the other cards might match that. But as the expansions are going to come out, you're going to see them spread out more and more different abilities that focus on new mechanics and things like that. So here is our miniature. So these guys are all green. That's one of the other departures from Power Rangers. Power Rangers, each Ranger is a different color wherever Rangers are. In this set, G.I. Joes are green. Just as a comparison, we're going to get... this is the Baroness. So all of the bosses, lieutenants, and nemesis are going to be gray. And then the foot soldiers are going to be different colors. So we currently have... Just elbowed my camera. So we currently have a red and blue. Now, I don't know if that means later sets they're going to keep being red and blue just to differentiate the two from each set. So if you have a bunch of different red and blues, or if they'll start making them a bunch of different colors. The other thing to point out is that the foot soldiers are smaller than the main characters. And I think they did this just one because there's a lot more of them, so you can fit more of these on the board, and two because that just cheaper to produce them. We have that many more. All right, so let's go ahead and look at what Duke does. So we'll look at Duke's set of cards, and we'll explain what the cards did. So I kind of showed off in the other video. There's the back of the cards, just all the American Hero star. I kind of explained in the last video, just kind of briefly went over it, but we'll go over a little bit more in detail of what each card does, or the information on there. So up in the top left corner, we have the cost. So costs on the cards are lots of zeros. We have some ones, and then we usually have a 3. A 3 is usually almost always the 3 is their special ability. So and then we have an X in here as well. So every deck is made up of 10 cards, and the cards are going to be 8 of the 10 are going to be 4 different cards with 2 each. You're going to get 2, 2, 2, and 2. And then the last 2 cards, which make up card 9 and 10, are going to be their signature weapon or skill, and then which almost always costs 3. Again, it's not 100% set in stone rule, but typically that one always costs 3 because they're powerful attack. That's unique to them. And then the last card, the 10th card, will be like a team ability card. So now the Power Rangers had this set up so that like the Mighty Morphin Rangers, all the Mighty Morphin had the same card. Then if you had like the Dino Thunder Rangers, they all had the same card, and so on and so forth. And this was to show that they had one card that kind of unified them as a team that all did. So they all had one card that did the same thing. This set, in the G.I. Joes, they don't necessarily have teams like that. They're all Joes. But they did do it like this. So all the characters in the core set have this, in the Mission Critical set, have the same, quote-unquote team ability. And then, like, the first expansion, which is called Heavy Firepower, those characters all have the same one. So I'm at least going to assume at this point they're going to continue that trend, because every time they're releasing an expansion set of characters, those characters will have some unifying theme, and then they'll have that one shared team card. So that's at least how they're seeming to do this. Now, again, they might break away from that after these sets and go their own direction, but as of right now, that's how they're doing it. So the bottom of the card, I'll just show whose it is, just because in that way you can tell very quickly. That's another difference here, is the Rangers all had different colored cards that match them, so a little bit different this way, just in case you have multiple cards on the table for some reason, or some card gives a card to somebody else. You can easily identify what deck it goes into. They have shields on the bottom, which will be 1, 2, or 3. They'll always have 1, 2, or 3. There will never be a 4. There will never be a 0. Unless they change that again. They'll represent your various defenses. And then the different types of cards are maneuvers, attacks, and reactions. Now, what's also interesting the way this game plays is not everybody has the same set. You can have one character that could have, out of their 10 cards, they could have 2 of them are reactions. You could have 2 maneuvers, and then all the rest are attacks. Or they could have, a bunch of reactions, a bunch of maneuvers, and 1 attack. They could have no maneuvers. Maybe they only have reactions and attacks. Or so it's not set that they have to have a certain number. The only thing that stays consistent are the number of shields. You will have 3 cards with 3 shields, 3 cards with 1 shield. So it's usually your one set of cards will have 3 shields, and then your weapon pack will have 3, and then one set of cards will have 1 shield, and then your team ability will have 1, and then all the other 6 cards in the deck, or not 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. The other 4 cards will all have 2. So the other two sets we kept 2. So you're gonna have a lot more 2s than 1s and 3s. You have one set more. But yeah, it kind of works on nice. Alright, so we're going to take this. We have 2 copies of these. We have Roll Out, which is a maneuver. So it says, use vehicles at -1 cost this turn. Another hero may immediately play a card. So you get a lot of maneuvers or stuff like this. They're not going to do damage, typically, but they're going to let you utilize things to set up for better things. So this is basically... the way the game is played is Rangers take a turn, then Villains, then Rangers, then Villains. Rangers, bleh. I get that in my head. The Heroes, or the Joes, and then the Cobra. Joes and Cobra. So if I played this card, that means I wouldn't do any damage. In general, I wouldn't, because another player can play another card, so they get to do something, but that would be my turn. They do this plus that other card. Then the Cobra gets to go. So some of them, sometimes a maneuver might cost you a turn of doing damage or defeating an enemy, but it might gain you extra card advantage for later in the turn. And this can be utilized very well because if you defeat a character card that hasn't, a Cobra card that hasn't activated yet, it gets turned face down once you defeat it. So then you might get a free turn where you could be like, hey, I don't have to worry about getting hurt this turn by that next card. So you could spend a card that like gains you extra energy, or like you draw cards, or do something like that, and then the enemy can activate and nothing will happen. So you kind of get a free turn that way. Alright, so we have Rollout, which does that. So another player can play another card right away. So basically, this should work really well if somebody else can utilize using them vehicles. Because it's only this turn. Alright, his next 2 cards are cost 1, it's All Out Attack. So this shows how many dice are going to roll. So it's either going to show a number of dice, or it'll show a hit symbol or special. I don't think there were any in this set that had the hit symbol. Doing a quick check. Nope. So there's none of them. Sometimes they might have a hit symbol that says free damage, which basically means like if it just shows a hit symbol, it might say attack, it might say like a 2 and then the hit symbol. It just straight up does 2 damage. You don't have to do a roll for it. But like with this one, I have to roll 3 dice. So I take my dice, I roll it. I rolled 3 hits. So I did 3 hits on it. It's definitely not bad. So if I rolled again, this time I got... If I can find my last dice. So I got 2 hits and a miss. So it wasn't as good. But then he says, here's another special. You may reroll any number of dice during this attack. So this could be very helpful. If you rolled really bad, you could always re-roll it. Or any nice luck. I rolled really bad there. Hey, look, I got my 3rd hit. So it's definitely helpful. He's got 2 copies of Charge, which gives him 2 dice, but he also gains an energy. So it doesn't do as much damage as the previous attack, but it gives him extra energy, which he can use to spend to play that other attack, or play a higher level attack, or somebody else can play an attack. 2 copies of Discipline, which is a reaction. So it says, play this card when any hero performs an attack. That hero may reroll any number of dice during this attack. You can kind of see Duke's whole thing here is he's trying to help everybody else get what they need. Here's some energy. Here's re-rolling your dice. Either my attack does, or this one, or a special character ability. Lets them re-roll dice, or let people re-roll dice. Yeah, so it's always definitely helpful. Then his power attack, his weapon attack. Sometimes it's a skill. So for this one, it's a skill. It's the Real American Hero. So he gets to roll 5 dice. It says the next time any hero performs an attack during this battle, add 2 dice to that attack. So now these are really powerful. So now if you use this right off the bat, you might be able to take out a card, like one of the earlier cards right away, and not have to deal with it. Plus then the next attack when someone goes, they just add an extra 2 dice to their attack, which will make that even more powerful. Now, someone else could do it, or he could use it with all-out attack. and then now you just throw 5 dice for this attack as well. So if he attacked 2 turns in a row, you get good. But the chances are you're gonna have 4 energy, like in the first turn, aren't always high. Or if you could, I mean, if you had 4 players, everyone had 1 stored energy, you would have 4, but you want to spend almost all your energy on the first 2 attacks. But it might be worth it if there's a lieutenant or a boss or a nemesis that has some very bad abilities. You might want to spend a lot of energy right off the bat to get rid of them. Maybe get you some free extra turns. Then the team ability is Yo Joe. So this is attack special. This is costs X. This attack deals an amount of hits equal to the amount of energy spent to play this card. You may divide the hits amongst any number of targets. So this is very much like the original Power Rangers Mighty Morphin's blaster card, but it's a really powerful card. So basically, if I spend 3, I can deal 3 damage amongst any targets. This can be used to like spread damage amongst a bunch of characters, or I can use it to, hey, I can put 2 on this guy and 1 on that guy, so I can finish off this guy, or I can spend 5 and just take out 1 guy that costs 5. So it's very you can utilize this very well for however you need to do it. I have big guy I need to take out. Okay, everyone just drop all our energy in. We're just gonna take out this 1 card because it's gonna destroy us if that activates. Or you can use it to finish off a bunch of smaller cards or finish off 1 small card. In a sense, you can use any amount of energy. You don't have to spend more than what you actually need. So yeah, like if you have 1 guy that can take 1 hit, 1 guy that can take 2 hits, and the other guy has 3 health left, it wouldn't necessarily make sense for you to spend more than 3. You could, and then start weakening that next guy, because then maybe someone's like, oh, I can do 2 hits on my next turn for free. You know, great, boom, there you can automatically take him out without having to like then roll extra dice. So this is a really good ability to have in your hand. Alright, so that was Duke's cards. Let's jump over to Scarlet. Shayna M. O'Hara. She has a nice little running pose there. She got her signature crossbow. I'm not sure where this artwork came from. Like, if this is based off of like the IDW comic series, or if this is based off one of the earlier cartoon series. Some of it's, some of the artwork in here, depending on which cards you're looking at, they're all different artworks, which is really cool. So I just want to flip back to Duke, so I didn't really talk about that. So you have like this one where he has like this blue pack on there, which is what he kind of has in his, which is like this version, which is one he has on his main character, and he has like the scar over his eye. But then this one is not. He still kind of has like that similar look, that green bag, but it's not the exact same outfit. It's a little bit different artwork in this one, and then like even. Looking at Scarlet here, you can see she has like her black under thing with her yellow like vest on, and here she has like full tactical gear where she still has like a yellow vest, but this is like an updated version. So it's kind of interesting since I think some of it's a mixture of like some different comic book series or it's just original artwork. Alright, Scarlet's ability is counterintelligence. So she says, once per battle, any hero may look at the top card of the deck and swap it with a card in their hand. So this can be very powerful because you have a 3-cost card in your hand. You don't have 3 energy. Swap it for something that might be useful. Or you have a card with 3 shields. And you know you're going to take a hit next turn. You know you're going to take 2 damage. Swap it with that card. And all of a sudden now you have your 2 damage. Or if you're Yo-Yo sitting in your hand and you're like, well, we only have 2 energy, it's not going to help us. Again, swap it for something different. Yeah, so definitely be some good ideas there. Or if you have a way to like draw a card you know, maybe swap something in your hand for something else, and then you can always draw that card. Different ways to do different things there. Alright, so her cards are, she's going to have a reaction, split decision, and there's going to be 2 copies of these. Play this card when any hero suffers damage. That hero looks at the top card of their deck and they swap it with a card in their hand. And then she has a star by her defense shields here. So it's a special defense. So this card is revealed for defense, gain 1 energy. So like the stars are really fun, because basically if this gets revealed during damage, she gains 1 energy. Otherwise, when she just plays it, she ignores that. So now this works, again, really well with her ability to swap cards, because, hey, you guys, we need more energy. Oh, let me use my character ability, Conquer Intelligence, swap this card to the top of your deck, and then now, when you take damage next turn, you're going to gain that extra energy you could definitely. So have her take a hit for the fact you gain that energy, because you know that's what you're going to get. And there's other characters that have these star things, so she might be able to use them that way as well. Like, maybe it's more beneficial for her to not, like, that reaction's not going to help her, but, like, the star ability might help her. And she has 2 copies of Taekwondo Mastery, which is a maneuver. Gain 1 energy. Choose 2 cards from your discard pile and return them to the top of your deck in any order. Again, combo is great with these other 2 cards. I played these cards. Now they're in my discard pile. Now I can put them back on top of my deck, and I can use these other abilities to swap that with a card in my hand. So you can get back cards that are in your discard pile, so you can use them quicker. She's got Skilled Sniper, which has 3 dice. Costs 1. Says ignore the guard keyword when choosing a target for this attack. This is really great to take out them guys. Like, I really have to get rid of this other threat. It's a passive ability that's destroying me, or making it harder, or this other one, when it triggers, is really going to hurt. Or maybe it's even like a foot soldier's guarding one of the lieutenant's cards. And the lieutenant card's already activated, but you're like, but I need to get rid of this card to beat him, but I don't want to have to spend my resources taking out that other foot soldier card first. So this is a great way to get around that. Then she has All Business, 2 cost attack. Any hero may look at the top card of their deck and swap it with a card in their hand. So she's really all about that. So Duke was all about the dice rolling. She's all about swapping cards to their decks. Again, getting kind of what you need, but instead of it being the battle way, she's all about the preparation way. Her signature attack or weapon is the XK1 Power Crossbow, which has 6 dice. It says ignore the guard word keyword when choosing a target for this attack. This is definitely very powerful. 6 dice, and you can ignore that, so you can probably guarantee you're going to take out whatever you need. And then she has Yojo as well. Alright. Up next, everyone's favorite silent ninja, Snake Eyes, whose name is classified. I love that. Even if they've ever revealed it somewhere, I don't even care. I'm glad they just left it as classified. Alright, so there's him. Guys, it's just hilarious because I was like, oh, here's all these gun guys and shooting stuff and lasers and crossfire, and you got a ninja. Who's also silent, but not just because he's a silent ninja, it's because literally he can't talk. I don't count the movies, I'm only counting comic book stuff, but then again, there's been so many years I keep changing all that as well. So he has Solo Operator. During each battle, add 1 die to each of your attacks until another hero plays a combat card. So if he runs off by himself, every time he does an attack during that battle, every time he plays one of his attack cards, he's going to gain 1 extra die. If you're in combat with other players, as long as you keep letting him go first, and him attacking first, like let him lead, he'll keep gaining extra die. So it might be beneficial to have him do that. So you might not want to team him up all the time with like 4 or 5 players, or the other 4 characters, or 3 or 4 characters, because it really cuts out his ability. But not saying don't always just throw him solo, because he might need backup here or there. He might need to back up other people with his other cards. Because if he's always by himself, then some of the stuff might not work as well. So, such as his first card, which has Deadly Encounter. Play this when any hero reveals a card for defense. Add 1 shield to that card. And then deal 1 hit to an enemy card of your choice. Now, any hero can include himself. But if he's with other players, then he has option of helping out other players with that as well. But also be able to deal 1 extra damage. Basically, you can have up to 4 shields, 2 to 4 shields now. And you get a hit 1, and it's an enemy card of your choice. It's not even the card that hit you, which would have made more sense. Like, oh, if this card did damage to you, I have to turn around and now do damage back to it. But no, it could be anything. So, like, Cobra Commander could smack Snake Eyes. He could be like, nope, deadly counter, and then turn around and kill one of the henchmen, the foot soldiers. So that's kind of funny. We have 2 copies of Coordinated Strike Reaction. Play this card when another hero performs an attack. Deal 1 attack to an enemy card other than the target. So again, free hit. This is a great cleanup job. Hey, I'm going to take out this guy here. Cool, let me deal 1 damage to that guy next to him, and then, might take that guy out, make you a free turn. Or if you know this is in your hand, you could coordinate with somebody else, being like, oh, I'm gonna play a card to take out that guy, so it's not in your way. You're like, but I have this card, so you could be like, if you take out somebody, you target somebody else, I can do that 1 damage to that guy for sure to defeat him. Then you don't have to waste a die roll hoping that you do it. So that's kind of a fun way to do that. He's got 2 copies of Mighty Moto Blade. Hope I pronounced that right. Just 1 die, but he says after you resolve this attack, you may perform a second attack with 2 dice. So Snake Eyes is all about like hitting multiple guys or hitting around the field, like taking out his targets. He's not going to do a ton of damage. Like Duke's going to let you keep re-rolling dice. Scarlet's going to ignore them guard. And has some high. They both have like some 3s and 4, 5, 6 dice. Snake Eyes has less, but he's got a lot more guaranteed damage because he's going to do more hits. Then we have Stealth Takedown, which is 2 dice. If this attack defeats a foot soldier, return this card to your hand instead of discarding it. So it gives him a reason to just take out some of these small guys. This also works very nice. Some of these cards work very nice if you're going to send him off by himself. Like, hey, there's a lieutenant or a nemesis or whatever over there. Let's send the bulk of the guys to go fight him. This group has 4 foot soldiers. Sweet. Send Snake Eyes in there to take them out by himself, because if he takes damage, he can deal 1 damage. Lots of them only have like 2 or 3 health, maybe sometimes 4. But like 2 or 3 health, he can probably take out a lot of himself. Use this attack he got for free. He's got an attack right away. He can keep hitting back. So that can definitely work in his advantage. His signature card is Arashigaki. Arashigaki Mindset. It's his ninja clan. Attack with 2 dice. After you resolve this attack, perform a second attack with 2 dice. Then perform a third attack with 2 dice. So basically, he gets 6 dice, but he has to roll them all separate. But the thing is, with his special ability, it says, during each battle, add 1 die to each of your attacks. So instead of rolling 6 dice and getting a 7th dice, he instead gets 3 dice, then 3 dice, then 3 dice, if he's attacking by himself. It's the same thing with his other, when we just looked at, he gets 2 dice if he attacks by himself, then he gets 3 dice. So he gets a lot of these bonus extra die if he's by himself, so he could definitely take out a lot of things on his own. But if you throw him in, he can do some cleanup damage on some of the small guys first. And then finally we have Yo-Jo again. Alright. up next we have CoverGirl. So now this is kind of an interesting one because the other three are like big named characters from like the original cartoon and all that. I think they're like, if you vaguely know G.I. Joe, you probably know those three. CoverGirl, I think, is more popular in like recent years. Like, I don't remember her from the original cartoons. Not to say she wasn't in there, but you know, there's so many characters. Some of them only had a couple of episodes. But yeah, no, it's definitely awesome that they added her because newer, like, have some of the classic characters, have some of the newer characters, just because it, you know, gets people to know who they are more. Also, the fact is more female representation. Just because you think G.I. Joe, you're like, it's a boy toy, they're just guy characters. No, there's plenty of females. So let's add some more. Plus, she has some really cool abilities. So, CoverGirl is Courtney A. Krieger. Interesting, though, is I hear CoverGirl, my thought was, like, spy. Like, that was my initial thought. Like, you hear CoverGirl, you're like, oh, like covering up, hiding. No, she's a tank driver. She's covering your ass with heavy artillery. She says, once per combat, use a vehicle cost for -1. Yeah, it helps you get vehicles out a little bit quicker. Now, if you added that to the one board location, it also reduced it by 1. So if you're playing with her in that spot, she used to play anything that's 2 or less once per turn for free. So that could definitely make any of those, and then the 3 cost ones are only going to cost 1. So you drop her in that location, she's going to wreck that area. Alright, let's look at her abilities to go with that. She has beautiful driving, 0 cost, 2 attack dice. If a vehicle is already used this battle, add 1 die to this attack. So if you use a vehicle before this turn, it gets an extra die. So now my only question would be if it was already used in this battle. The only guess I'd have a little minor timing issue. Because, like, in the book it showed them, I'm playing this card, and I paid 2 to use a vehicle. Now, if you've already played this card, and then you use that vehicle, would that count as being played already? Or you've had to use it with a previous card? That'd be kind of a timing issue, I wonder. I would say play through however you think works best for you. It's your game, do what you need to do. But yeah, definitely not bad. Then she has Tank Girl. 3 attack, or 3 dice for 1. Also has a special defense star. If this card revealed for defense, it gains +1 shield. So this could definitely be helpful. Team her up with Scarlet. 2 copies of Engineering Victory. A 0 cost maneuver. Replace 1 empty slot on the power board with a vehicle card and gain 1 energy. And deal 1 hit to an enemy card of your choice. So basically just saying, you've already used a vehicle, so now you have an empty spot in there, because that spot doesn't replenish until the end of the battle. So you basically say if you have 3 vehicles, you can most only use 3 vehicles during one battle before they replenish. This will let you fill one of them slots back up and have another option. Plus you gain 1 energy and you do 1 hit. So this works really well with her, because it's like, oh, we already used that vehicle. Now we have another option, plus energy to pay for different stuff, and you do a free hit. Definitely cool. Like you're also utilizing the vehicles as an option, because the Power Rangers didn't often have characters that utilize the Zord abilities, because with the vehicles, you have access to them from turn 1. Where the Zords, you had to defeat 6 foot soldiers before you got 1. So they didn't want to have too many character cards that gave bonuses or relied on the Zords, because you wouldn't be able to use that card effectively until later in the game. And then the thing is, if it said, oh, based on the number of Zords, early on it was really weak, but later in the game it was super powerful. So it's kind of neat that you now can have more cards that interact with those. She has Armored Advance reaction. Play this card when any hero suffers damage. Discard and replace one vehicle from the power board and reduce the damage by that vehicle's cost. Ooh, so that's actually really cool. So if they have a 2-cost vehicle, you could discard it and then prevent up to 2 damage, and then you would then flip over your shield to see how much damage you take. If you have like a 3 or 4-cost one, you might be, or if you have like a 6-cost vehicle, you can run up to 6 damage. Might be worth getting rid of that card just to keep someone alive. That's definitely a cool idea. Plus, it works well with their other card. Discard one to do that, and then you have your other ability like to replace one without having to spend your things to play a vehicle. Her signature card is Explosive Payload, Special Attack. Discard one vehicle from the power board. This card deals an amount of damage equal to that vehicle's cost. You may divide these damage amongst any number of targets. Ooh, so that's kind of cool too. So if you only do it for 2, it only does 2 damage, but if you can play a higher level one, so like we have 4s, 5s, so we only have 4s and 5s up into here. 1, 2, 1, 3, bunch of 4s and 5s. But yeah, doing 4 and 5 damage isn't bad, and again, you also work with her other card. Then finally, she has Yojo as well. Alright, so for our final hero, our final Joe, we have Stalker. Also known as Sergeant Stalker. I love the little action poses too, like how do you make a bunch of action poses with guys that are just using guns, other than just having them aim? Because the Power Rangers often had like weapons or swords that have like a crossbow or a sword or an axe or something. So them doing more melee stuff or firing your gun. It's like, we don't want to make them all just standing there holding guns. So Stalker is Lorenzo R. Wilkinson, an adaptive ranger. So once per battle, when any hero reveals a card with a star ability for defense, deal 1 damage to an enemy card of your choice. So again, this one isn't like gonna kick off like Dukes, where you could pick and choose almost any time you roll a lot of dice, or Scarlets, where you could choose to do that, or some of these like this, or Snake Eyes might be very like limited on when you can use them. Alright, so speaking of Sergeant Stalker, we have his card here. Attack for 3 dice, it costs 1, and special defense. If this card is revealed for defense, gain 1 energy. Now it's now to be utilized as other things. Now, we have 3 characters that have star cards, which is very cool, because I don't think it was not utilized nearly as often in the Power Rangers games. So I like that they're utilizing it more in here. Definitely cool. We have Blitz'em. Cost 1 to reaction. Play this card at the start of a battle. So this is not one that has to involve damage. It's at the start of a battle. Heroes may either ignore the fast keyword to take the first turn, or deal 1 enemy to a card of your choice. So there you just have to decide if that first card is worth taking a hit or not on. And the thing is, if it's just foot soldiers, it's the first foot soldier cards. But if a foot soldier has a fast card, and there's a lieutenant in play, even if the lieutenant doesn't have a fast card, he still gets to attack first. So here it might be worth ignoring that fast keyword to take a lieutenant or a boss or like one of their cards first, or at least doing a point of damage to start doing it. You never know. I mean, 1 damage isn't going to take out anything, but if you're going to take that first hit anyway, it might be worth just, I can take it and do a point of damage. Alright, we have Pulverize. 0 cost for 2 dice. Special defense star. If this card is revealed for defense, deal 1 hit to an enemy card of your choice. This is all about that. I like that little trigger abilities. He's like, I'm going to do some extra damage. We have Squad Tactics, which is a maneuver. Gain 1 energy. Another hero may immediately play an additional card. So boost this up. Hey, we need 1 more energy to play that 2 cost or 3 cost card. or Yo Joe. Yo works right there. His signature one is Time to Kick Some Butt, a 5 dice attack for 3 with a special defense. If this card is revealed for defense, you may add it to your hand instead of discarding it or placing it at the bottom of your deck. So even if it doesn't prevent all the damage, you can get this card back. Now this should be a great one to also utilize with one of Scarlet's cards. Put this card on top of your deck if you know you're going to take a hit anyhow, because you're going to get it right back. Definitely cool. And then finally, Yo Joe. Alright, so that was all of our Joe characters. Then we have some cards for the bad guys. So these are the cards you're going to shuffle into the decks. So you're going to find out who's coming up. So if you flip this over, it'll be a boss. But now, currently right now, there's only one boss in this game. But as you buy expansions, you'll get multiple, so you can shuffle them up. So that way you don't know which boss you're going to fight against. And that's kind of the fun part of it. Now, you can set it up ahead of time, being like, yep, I know I'm going to fight this guy. I know I'm going to fight this lieutenant or this monster. And you can have them guys sitting aside. Or you can have all your stuff in a box off to the side. And be like, I got a boss. Which one did I get? Ooh, I drew this one. And that's how you can fight. So you can kind of randomize it if you want. Same thing with the Nemesis. And then we have 3 lieutenants, which are all going to have the same backs. So again, if you put 2 lieutenants in there, you don't know which one you're going to get first. And on the front side, it's just going to show their different pictures. And these guys will have the hexagon, which is kind of neat. So what they did there was they have the hexagon, which is going to show 6 sides, because you need to defeat 6 cards to beat them. Nemesis get 5, although you still only need to beat 4 of their cards. And then the lieutenants, who are all orange, have 4. So that diamond kind of just is a reminder that you need to defeat 4 of their cards to beat them. It's just that kind of a neat little thing. The other thing we did show off with the Nemesis here is they have a special ability on their card. So the Baroness all special thing. It says, at the end of each enemy turn, if the hero has no cards in their hand, they are defeated. So the Nemesis are, they're not as powerful as they're kind of like the mid-level between the boss and a lieutenant. They can be defeated the same way or as easy, like 4 cards the same as a lieutenant. But given this extra card, it makes them a little bit more powerful than them. Because they have an ongoing ability that's going to happen. As normally running a cards doesn't mean anything. Alright, then we have our deployment decks. So you're going to get 5 for each different location. So you're going to basically shuffle all these together. And then as you flip over your cards, they're going to tell you where things are deployed. So if I have, this is the top of my deck. So if I flip over the first card, I'm going to deploy 3 orange cards at the Global Summit. And then if like later I have, this is my top card of my deck, I'm going to flip it over. It's going to say 2 at the secret base. And then if you happen to have like a boss card in there, so if I flip this over, oh, I have 2. Ooh, so I got to deploy 2 red Cobras and my Nemesis, who I'll flip over, which will be the Baroness, at the secret base. And that's how you decide where things go. So each one of these are going to have a 1, 2 sets of 3s, and a set of 3. So you can kind of also determine, if you're kind of counting cards, you might be able to determine what's going to come up. So without, like, this one's for the orange, which is the research lab. And then we'll have another set of white ones, which will be for the secret base. And then we'll have the same set, which will be the 1s, the 2s, and the 3s. And this one's for the Global Summit. And then the last set is for the military compound. And this is the new mechanic that works so you can mix and match characters from different things. Because in the Power Ranger one, every character was tied to 2 of these locations. So if like I had the Putty Patrollers and the Tengu Warriors, I had to play the 2 locations that had the Tengu Warriors and 2 that had the Putty Patrollers because they were tied specifically to those 2 locations. Now, flipping them over, they could appear at any of those 2 locations because I might flip over a Putty card and the back of the next one might be for the Tenga card. So they work. If you're not playing with the special abilities, it ultimately, for that reason, never mattered. But now, if you want to play the special ability side, be able to mix and match anything to make some really interesting stuff because you're not having to tie a minion to a location. So you can have one minion if you want to thematically have them at this location. They're not normally there, and plus you can have one of their locations, one of a different location, so you can have mix and match your abilities a lot better. That's cool. The other thing it should also do is with this ability is they can release more sets of miniatures or villains without having to release the locations. That's the downside that the Power Rangers fell into, is every time they wanted to release a new foot soldier group, they had to release 2 more boards with it. So they had to put it in a bigger box set with that. Here they could realistically release 1 new set of villains with their cards. Just like, hey, these guys can go here. We don't need to release boards with them because you can play them at any board. So they can release different villains more often. So I kind of hope that they, even though Power Rangers currently doesn't use this, I hope they add this into the Power Rangers set so that they can do that. Alright, let's look at our villain cards here. Let's start with our foot soldiers, which are in the green. So we're going to start with the Crimson Soldiers, which are, I believe, the red ones here. Would make sense, right? Because they're red and they're crimson. These guys have a red mask being it. I don't even remember the foot soldiers that much in G.I. Joe. I know they fought them all the time, but I don't ever really recall them. It's just, other than being like just generic-y soldiery guys. I know they have lots of different ones that have like firebacks and stuff like that, so it'd be cool if some of them guys start coming. Alright, so we're gonna get 3 copies of Ambush. So this has 3 health, it is fast, and it's gonna deal 2 damage and drain 1 energy. So that sucks because you'll automatically lose 1 and take 2 hits before you can do anything else if you're just fighting them. 2 copies of No Retreat, which is a guard and passive. So this card is in play, increase the health value of each adjacent enemy card by 1. This is definitely one you want to try and take out as quickly as possible. They also put the little shield up here on the top as a reminder that it has guard. So if you just look at it, you can quickly tell it has the guard ability. We have 2 copies of Area Denial. 2 health. Says, deals 3 damage, skip the next hero turn in this battle. So basically they do 3 damage, and then they get to go again. Now, it's again, the way the game works is, as you beat these cards, they get flipped down. So if they come up later in activation, and they're flipped over, the villain still takes their turn, that card still activates, but nothing happens because it's face down. So you might want to beat some of these ahead of time. Then we have 3 copies of Elite Sentinels. We have guard half the heroes in this battle, rounded up, discard the top card of their deck. So if you have 4 heroes, 2 of them. 1 hero would be 1. Yeah, so that's those guys. Again, the foot soldiers aren't going to be very difficult. 2 to 3 health. Up next we have Cobra Troopers, which are blue. A little short snubby gun. They don't have the big gunny backpack, but they have some goggles on top of their helmet. I don't think the miniature does, though. Yeah, not really. It's alright, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're going to get 12 of each of those miniatures, so you're going to get plenty to use. Alright, so they're going to have 3 copies of Rattler Attack. I also like the fact that they have the vehicles in here, so it's not just what that guy can do. It's also, hey, we have vehicles they might be in. So fast, draining energy, discard 1 vehicle from the power board. We have 2 copies of Viper Strike. Guard deals 3 damage, so it has 2 health. Yeah, again, not terribly powerful, but 3 damage. 3 damage isn't bad because it's probably gonna cost you 1 to 2 cards to deal with it. 2 copies of Cobra Charge. Deal 1 damage, increases damage by 1 for each foot soldier in this location. Now this could get very powerful if there's too many foot soldiers out. And then finally, 3 copies of Hiss Tank Assault. Guard with 3 health. Deal 2 damage to half the heroes in this battle, rounded up. I like that both of them have a half ability. Because knowing is half the battle, taking damage is apparently the other half. Alright, so then our lieutenants, we're going to start with Copperhead. This is kind of like what I said with, like, kind of Cover Girl. Like, I like to kind of pick some guys that aren't necessarily, well, I think of G.I. Joe is this guy. Like, I don't remember Copperhead necessarily, like, really, but, but, yeah, it's still cool. So there he is. He's got, I don't know why they, got rid of his, that's not Copperhead. I was like, why doesn't he have his mouthpiece? There we go. That looked weird. Alright, yeah, you got his gun, mouthpiece. Alright, so that is him. Copperhead's abilities. So he's going to start with 2 copies of the Water Moccasin Onslaught, which has 4 health and fast. Deal 3 damage, drain 2 energy. 1 hero discards 1 random card from their hand. So I can see definitely how much more powerful this guy is versus more health. Does 1 more damage, 1 more energy than the guys, plus to make you discard a random card. He's got Phoenix Guard. He's only got 1 copy of that. It's kind of his signature one. Guard and passive with 5 health. List cards in play, foot soldiers cannot be defeated. So I mean, if you combine that with the other one where they're more powerful with the number of foot soldiers, that's going to definitely make this guy hard to take down. 2 copies of High Stakes Takedown. Just 3 health and fast. Roll 5 dice and deal that much damage to half the heroes in this battle, rounded up. And then 3 copies of Python Patrol. 4 health and fast. Deal 5 damage to the hero with the most cards in their hand. So this is one thing that is going to happen. Like, in the rulebook it said you decide who takes the damage. There's going to be some times when it's the first player token, which is whoever initiated the battle. Other times it might be a specific character. So if this card comes up and it's going to activate, you're setting up defenses while using like Scarlet and stuff and putting cards back down. Things like that. It's not going to make any difference. It's just whoever has the most cards. So one way to maybe play around this would be, it's going to activate next, and you have 2 characters, you have 4 cards in their hand. You might have to have one of them take their action first, so that way they can take, the guy 4 cards can still take damage, and the other guy now has 3. Kind of just play around with that. Alright, let's look at Major Blood. We looked at his miniature earlier. So there's him. Assuming he got his eye patch on in there. These guys have some funky helmets. Major Blood is going to have 2 copies of Crush Their Spirits, 5 health, guard, and drain 3 damage. 2 copies of No Mercy, 4 health, fast, deal 3 damage to each hero. Ugh, every hero. 3 copies of Cobra Will Prevail, fast and guard, 4 health, deal 2 damage to each hero twice. So this one though, it's like you deal 2 damage and you have to deal 2 damage again. So if you revealed a 2 shields or a 3 shields, great, you block the first one and then you reveal the second one. But if you revealed a 1, you block the first one, then you take the hit, and then if you revealed a 3, or a 2 or a 3, that would stop the rest of that damage. But then you'd have to then start another. So you end up going through at least 3 cards that way. Then his big one is 1 copy of Ceaseless March, 5 health, deal 3 damage, repeats its effect for every foot soldier card in this battle that has not been defeated. Which is crazy. But then you get to pick who does it. But these guys are really playing up on the thing of having the foot soldiers. Just, again, another comparison to Power Rangers. Lots of times it doesn't seem like the monsters really care about the foot soldiers. They're like, I'm coming in, I'm doing my thing, I'm the star of the show. Some of them do, some of them do, but most of them don't. They're just like, whatever. These guys really play up on the fact that they're lieutenants over these foot soldiers, these Cobra troopers, which really makes them, makes the Cobra troopers even seem a little bit more important in the game. Alright, our last lieutenant is Dr. Mindbender. The bald, naked man with a cape. I never really understood his whole thing. His whole costume design, I guess. So 2 copies of... Ooh, we didn't show him. Show him in all his glory. I love the flowing cape. It's really cool. He's got a little rod there. Trying to probably start his weather dominator. Cobra's Secret Research. 3 health and passive. At the end of each enemy turn, remove 1 hit from each enemy adjacent to this card. Oh boy. And again, even if this card activates, if it's the first card it activates, it goes on, it'll keep doing it every time until you defeat it. So it's basically either defeat it or don't do damage to the cards around it. So that kind of sucks. 3 copies of Maybe This Will Change Your Mind. 4 health, fast. 1 hero discards a card with the highest shield value, dealing a amount of damage to each other hero equal to the shield value of that card. So you might get lucky and maybe get some 2s, but chances are you're probably taking 3 hits off of that. 2 copies of The Cruelty of Science. 4 health, deal 3 damage, drain 2. So, not too terrible. And then his signature card, Total Control. 5 health and guard. Each hero discards a random card from their hand. Then each hero suffers a amount of damage equal to the highest shield value among the cards in their own discard pile. So again, probably 3, but you might get lucky and get 2. But the fact is you just discarded a card from your hand. Then now you have to take damage. Now you're also losing at least 1 to 2 cards off your deck as well. Alright, so that is our lieutenants. Then we have our nemesis. So what's interesting is because Power Rangers game did not start with nemesis. It took a couple of sets for them to include that. So it's very interesting that they included one of these right away. But here we have the Baroness. So, as a reminder, the Baroness' special ability card is, at the end of each enemy turn, if a hero has no cards in their hand, they're defeated. So again, normally, having no cards in your hand wouldn't be that big of a deal. I mean, you couldn't do anything, attack or do anything, but basically it might prevent you from playing that last card. In your hand, you're like, oh, I can attack and do this, but then you're gonna lose. So you can't. Realistically, you have to oh, I guess I'm gonna have to hold back. You might end up having 5 Rangers, or not 5 heroes, 5 Joes at a battle against the Baroness, and nobody can play anything because if they do, they're gonna get defeated. They might all have 1 card left in their hand. You might end up having to skip turns. So that's a possibility. And being that you have to defeat 4 of her cards, this might hit multiple battles in a row. You never know. So, alright, let's look at her cards. She has 3 copies. So, the other characters had, the foot soldiers had 3, 2, 2, and 3. So they had 3, 3, and 2, is basically how their stuff was divided up. So 4 different cards. Lieutenants have, zoom back a little bit, they have a 1 card, 2 cards, 2 cards, and a 3 card. So instead of being, so they have 4 different cards in their set. So that's the thing, is that they get the 1, 2, 3, 4 versus 1, 2, 3. So they each have 4, but they have a little bit different ones. They usually have like one that's a little bit more powerful. But the bosses and nemesis get a little bit different. So she has 1. So she still only has 4 different ones. But she gets more copies of one. She gets some are a little bit more powerful, but she gets less copies of them. So she has 3 copies of Your Weakness Makes Me Sick. She says Fast and Guard. It says deal 3 damage. The hero who suffers this damage discards 1 card from their hand. So she wants to make you discard, because then that way she can try and KTO with her special ability. 3 copies of Mistress of Manipulation, 4 costs, or 4 health and fast. Each hero draws 1 card and discards 2 cards from their hand. So weakening your deck, but also getting rid of a card out of your hand as well, which does not help. 1 copy of Undercover Agent, fast and passive with 3 health. While this card is in play, the energy cost of all combat cards is increased by 1. And 1 perfect shot, 5 health. Defeat each hero with the fewest cards in their hand. So basically, once this is on the table, you have to do whatever you need to do to take care of it. Otherwise, you just straight up defeat heroes. And if, again, you have multiple heroes with the same number of cards, hey, everyone has 3 cards. She can take out all 3 of them. 1 hit. Boom. So yeah, you definitely don't want to play around with that for too long. Alright, our final villain is, of course, Cobra Commander. And we're going to get this version with the silver faceplate. Plus there's the Cobra Serpent Sword, which is really cool. So there's different versions. We have yet in the Power Ranger game to get multiple versions of the same character. But I wonder if G.I. Joe might end up redoing some of that, just because there's a lot of characters, a lot of Joes. I just don't know if there's a lot of villains to necessarily not have to go back. But we'll find out. We have 3 copies of Cobra. It just says fast. Reveal the top 3 cards of the Cobra Trooper deck and resolve their effects one after another. Then shuffle the Cobra Trooper deck. Just specifically if you're using Cobra Troopers, he's going to gain extra ones of those. So you have to keep them out. So my assumption, even if you're not using them, he's going to summon them anyhow. We have 2 copies of Glorious Leader. Fast and Guard. Deal an amount of damage equal to the total number of deployed foot soldiers at all locations divided amongst the heroes as they choose. Oh, that could be very bad. Then 2 copies of Get Them. Fast and Passive. When this card is played, increase the health value of all foot soldiers by 1. You deploy 1 Crimson Guard at this location when this card resolves. And then his big one is My Master Plan. 7 health with Guard. Deal 3 damage to each hero. Deploy 1 Cobra Trooper to each other outer location. Just to help panic areas, work with his other abilities. And this goes again with the whole thing where I was saying, these villains really care about having foot soldiers out. They're really considered commanders of armies. Which really is exciting because it's a new aspect. Versus big, super powerful monsters with special abilities. These guys are like, no, we're commanding these troops. Alright, so the final thing we have for this video are the vehicles. The vehicles will have this kind of a generic background, but that's fine. But we'll go ahead and take a look at them. So we have our 2-cost Ram. These are also tarot card size, so the same size as the character cards. And there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you need 11 sleeves. Sleeves usually come in packs of, like, I think 50. So you buy one pack, you're probably fine for at least a decent number of sets. Usually, yeah. So this is Ram motorcycle. I don't know if the bottom thing is ever going to make a difference. I don't think any of them have repeated yet. In any of these, so I don't know if that'll ever be like something they call out. Or if they just did it, as a thing. Or maybe they might at some point be like, hey, if you play a motorcycle, you get this effect, something like that. So 2 cost. Use this card after a hero plays a card to return that card to their hand instead of discarding it. We have the 3 cost MMS Missile System. Use this card after an enemy card is defeated by an attack. Deal excess hits from that attack to a different enemy card. So this is really good if you have card rolls you roll 5 or 6 dice and you really only need to do 2 damage. You could play this to then do that extra damage, or if you roll 5 dice and you roll all 2, so now you have 10 hits. The guy only had 5 HP. Now you can give him 5 to a different enemy. So that's definitely a cool thing to do there. We have the Vamp attack vehicle, which is passive. It says until the end of this battle, each time a hero performs an attack, they may reroll 1 die. So every time. So this is a good one to buy at the beginning of the battle. It's not the end of the turn, beginning of the battle. So if you buy this right away, then everyone always has 1 free reroll. The Wolverine, the armored missile vehicle. Use this card at the start of any hero's turn to immediately defeat 1 foot soldier card. Definitely not bad either. Don't want to even deal with that guy, just get rid of him. We have the Flak attack cannon. Use this card before a hero rolls dice for the attack to add 3 dice to that attack. Oh, that's crazy, right? So now, let's say you're using Scarlet's sniper attack, her crossbow, which already had 6 dice. So now you have 9 dice. You're gonna roll unless you have purchased extra dice. So you have 9 dice, which is great. If not, you roll 3, remember the results of them, and then roll 6. Sorry. Then remember the result, and then roll the other 3. Which maybe if you got 3 misses, re-roll the 3 misses. If you got 3 hits, re-roll the 3 hits, just so you can remember quick. And our final one is a 5 cost, which is Mobat, the battle tank. Roll 5 dice and deal hits rolled to the enemy card of your choice. So this one, costing 5, could be very powerful, could be a critical miss. Potentially 10, possibly 0. Probably somewhere in the middle. I'd say you're probably going to do somewhere between, 4 to 6 damage. If you rolled all 5s or 1s, you'd probably do 5 damage. So you might do 3 to 7. You might maybe get some misses, but you might get some doubles. Alright, so that is what we have. That is G.I. Joe Mission Critical, the core set. So check out part 1 if you hadn't, which explains the rules in case you're wondering. Also check out the later videos I will be doing with the heavy firepower set, and then the actual bonus stuff that you can get through the web store. I'll probably just throw them in one video together since there's not a ton of content for both of them. You like this type of gameplay, check out all the Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid since it's the same overall basic mechanics, and then hopefully I'll get up that video where I do a good comparison between the two. And then future expansions as they come out. See you guys later. Bye.